Another thing you spoke very passionately about at the book signing was your favorite era of Tupac in his life, and that was at Baltimore.
Oh, love. So Baltimore, Tupac had like this real split existence. He moved there when he was in middle school. They lived on a row house that I went to in East Baltimore, very, very not great area. And rats running along the floorboards, no working heat, no working air conditioning. I interviewed a friend of his they were at the house one time, outside the house, sitting by the porch smoking weed. And the friend was like, yo, Pac, I gotta use the bathroom. Can I use your bathroom? And Tupac got really mad at him because he wanted him to see the inside of the house.
Right.
So he had this horrible, horrible home life with a mom who's an addict, no money, no father figure, away from the family in New York, really bad. But every day, first he goes to Dunbar. He doesn't like Dunbar. But the one thing about Dunbar that was my cool, as a sports writer, find, is he sat next to or behind Sam Cassell in geometry class. Sam Cassell, future NBA player, which I thought was super cool. And I talked to Sam about Tupac, and he remembered Tupac being like, yo, Pac, come on, you got a game today. Just do it, man, just do it. But Baltimore School for the Arts, he went for his sophomore, junior year. It's a school you would want to go to if you walked into this school,
right.
Even if you're not artistic. You walk in, and you could hear a choir, you could hear a symphony, you could hear a monologue. One of his classmates there said, Baltimore and New Orleans are the only cities in America where you can get beat up for not being weird enough. And that was Baltimore School for the Arts. It was, it was a combination of wealthy white kids and poor black kids and wealthier white kids. It was kids who want to be actors and kids who want to be dancers. You could walk through the hall and you'd see boys dressed, shirtless, walking around with a weird hat, and girls dressed in overalls and like singing and dancing. He was just like a butterfly. He has his nails painted. He's spray painting on his jeans. He had no money, but didn't matter because you could wear the same shirt 2 days in a row and people would think it's just kind of funny and cool. You didn't have to be cool in any way. No one was athletic, including Tupac. And, I wrote about he met a girlfriend, Mary, who I interviewed, and Mary now lives in Nebraska. And Mary was very reluctant to talk at first, and I finally convinced her, please talk. And she said, my mom recently found under the bed 150 letters that Tupac wrote me. And if you come out to Nebraska, I'll show you the letters. So I go to Nebraska and I'm reading these letters and they're just like Tupac at his best. He called her Lumberjack and he'd be like, dearest Lumberjack, I love you so much. When I look into your eyes, I see the deep oceans surrounding us. But he wanted to have sex with her. He was passionate about her. At the same time, he hated his mom. He loved his mom. He was miserable. He was happy. There's gunfire outside his. Tomorrow I'm going to be homeless. I hate this world, blah, blah, blah. It was just him. And he made her like these mixtapes with like Randy Travis, Everything But the Girl, Frank Sinatra, like this wide swath of music. And he was just like this truly, someone said Tupac was a kid who would gently remove a ladybug from his hand and set it aside. I just think that was Tupac Baltimore. Just beautiful, beautiful. I think a lot of non-hip hop fans would be surprised by is like the breadth of knowledge that hip hop artists have because there's so much sampling. So when you're listening, like, Hit 'Em Up is a sample of a Dennis Edwards song, right? Don't look any further. So like someone had to know that there was a Dennis Edwards song worth sampling, or it sounds basic, but like Changes sampling The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby. Well, some guy who's producing hip hop had to know about The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and envision it in his head. So I think most hip hop artists, Dr. Dre said his psych up music Smells Like Teen Spirit. So maybe you wouldn't think so, but
Right.
Yeah.
I have a niece that goes to a performing arts high school, and I recently went to one of her performances, and she's like a junior, and they're doing absurdism, like French absurdist plays. I'm just like I loved drama in high school, and we had a very good drama program. We did Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So it was great that I'd just seen that, because then when I read your book and read about the performing arts high school, I instantly got like the level that these kids were operating at was completely different than your typical high school art class and drama class.
He was also just like a natural performer. I interviewed people who were there. He had to audition, and he went for the audition, and like, it's backstage. You have 4 teachers sitting there in front of you, staring at you. You're performing on the stage by yourself. Kids are very nervous. Tupac shows up. He's like, they're in this back room. Anyone want to see what I'm going to do? Anyone want to watch my performance? He's got like a top hat. He's just wearing jeans and a shirt, but a top hat. And he does a monologue from Raisin in the Sun. And the teachers stand up and clap, which rarely happened. He just had that thing. He did have undeniable whatever it is, he actually had it.
And you wonder what direction he would have gone in if he'd stayed there.
I just had this conversation.
He's in because he's there with Jada Pinkett.
He's also there with Josh Charles. Do you remember Josh Charles from Dead Poets Society and The Good Wife? I think the move to Marin City, there'd be an amazing sort of movie or TV series, Baltimore Tupac, and it's just about Tupac if he stays in Baltimore and what happens, because he never, for good and bad, he never winds up in Marin City, the crack capital of California that just decimated the area, and his mother. He never hooks up with Digital Underground. He never winds up in Oakland. I mean, none of it. It's a total, is he an East Coast rapper? Is he even a rapper? Is he an actor? Baltimore is not a hotbed for hip hop. So it's not like there are a million rappers coming out of Baltimore. Like what? It's kind of an interesting question. What does Tupac become if he never leaves Baltimore? You know, and is he still alive? I don't know.
Talk about is there a story behind trying to talk to Jada, since we just mentioned Baltimore?
Yeah, not a good one. You don't get everyone. That's one of the things. You just try your best. So I reached out to her publicist. Like, I don't have a number for Jada. Tried reaching out via social media. No success, no callback, which I obviously understand. Like, she was going through the hell of everything that happened with Will Smith and the slap and all that.
Because you've been working on this for the past 3 years.
Correct, but this was after the slap. I knew she was appearing at the Miami Festival of Books, giving a talk. And I have family in Florida, so I was going to Florida. I thought, I'm going to go to Miami Festival of Books. And I signed up for a session, and I bought a copy of her book, which came signed. And I thought I would try to grab her after. And it was actually it was a peculiar phenomenon for me. I was sitting in this room with, 200 women and me, basically. It was like all women and me. And she was talking about like the virtues of marriage and like everything, but she just had all this stuff happen. And the women were like, you speak, girl, you bring your truth. And I was like, what kind of parallel universe are we living in? Like, I'm not saying Jada Pinkett doesn't have a story to tell. It's just weird that she was talking about marriage. Anyway, she got off the stage real quick and I never got her. And I was annoyed by that. But the celebrities are always the hardest people to get. They're surrounded by handlers. They're very guarded. And also in this case, I wouldn't talk if I were her either. You know, like just had all this drama with your own life. Who wants more of it for a book?
And just describe what their relationship was like, because there's all kinds of speculation about that, and that she was hung up on him, and that Will Smith has this, deep-seated.
I mean, I can't speak for Will Smith. They were very close in high school. Basically, Tupac's closest friend in high school was John Cole. Jada dated John Cole, and kind of like, not with Tupac's blessing, but kind of whatever that would be in high school. They hung out a lot. They definitely had a kinship. She, like Tupac, was a child of an addict, raised by a single parent. They were black students from rough backgrounds in a school with a lot of privilege. So I think that kinship lasted through the years, I don't know, I can't tell you if they were attracted to each other. I mean, obviously both of them are very good looking people. I just don't know. But, if you take it from Jada and, they were just kind of, also he got her a bit part in Menace to Society. And she was at the table read the day Tupac flipped out, and basically what led to his firing from the movie. So, that, and also he appeared as her boyfriend on A Different World.